Good morning, everyone. It is 10 o'clock, so I'm going to call this meeting of the Camden County Commission to order. Here,
Here.
entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, let's just.
Second.
Those in favor? Minutes tabled. Okay, we've got three things up on the agenda this morning. Water District, number 2, ARPA funds, SB 40 board appointment, and P&Z revision. So, that being the case, next thing up on the agenda is citizens group. If anyone wants to speak with regard to any of the matters on this particular agenda, they are welcome to do so at this time. Just come up and sign in, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Are you gonna allow speaking on each agenda item like you did last time when it comes up, or?
You know what, anyone that wants to speak with regard to any specific item, you're welcome to do so now. When we get into the heart of the meeting, we're just gonna go through it. So if you wanna speak with regard to any of the items, you're welcome to do so.
Let her rip, Sean.
I just wanted to. I watched a couple meetings online, and just to make sure that everybody's microphones are on, would be nice because then we can hear you guys. Like Don's mic's not on right now. It's something I've noticed in the last couple meetings.
Okay.
It helps with everything. Thank you. Well, I'm not calling you out. It helps.
All right. Anyone else want to speak with regard to any matter on this agenda? And for John's benefit, if you want to speak with regard to any matter on this agenda, we'll give you 3 minutes for each one. So.
Well, I've just kind of been, like some other people in this room, looking over some of the revisions. And
Revisions.
for planning and zoning.
Okay.
For planning and zoning, some of the things in there. And, it just seems to me that it's getting more restrictive on what people can do with their own property. One of your last hearings, I mentioned to you guys if there was any way to do some kind of provision for people that live out in the country, somebody that lives on, say, more than 5 acres, because as of now, with DNR, if you have more than 5 acres, your sewer code is dramatically reduced. You don't have near the restrictions as somebody that has less. Also, and
Nathan, if you have any specifics, we'd love to hear them.
Okay, as far as the specifics, I know from what I had seen, there was a new revision that's saying you're going to have a permit as an accessory structure for a shipping container. Is that still in there?
Yes, I believe that was.
That one. And there's other parts in there about basically using the prosecutor's office to go after people and putting liens on people's property who are out of compliance. That's not in there anymore?
No, it
I
goes
was
to the
pretty sure.
prosecuting attorney's office and then eventually to a judge, and then the judge could assess a fine, but
That goes
no,
against their taxes.
no, it's a
It said something about a lien, I saw.
dollar
It's a lien.
amount.
I did see that.
Mhm.
Which,
I
liening
don't
is
know if any
obviously
changes to the.
better than just
Yes.
straight for taking it like you would in a tax sale. There's just several things, and some people I know have brought some things printed out that they can go into more detail on. A lot of it stuck out to me. Now, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to be offensive by saying this, but the building that houses planning and zoning and your all's office did not pass city inspection on anything except, I think, new filters. So it's kind of like when we say the lake should be a case study for COVID, that, everybody didn't die. I would say that your office is a case study on why most of these codes are overbearing. It is what I would say. And I noticed there's a new provision in there about having to have the permission of the fire department and different districts in there before they get a
Yeah,
permit.
20 seconds.
Okay. Well, like I said, the building code, most of the codes that are written by engineers and people that way overthink things. And I would just really like to see it pared down for freedom's sake, for conservative sake, that if somebody owns a piece of land, particularly if it's acreage, they should be able to do what they want with it to a degree.
Time. Nathan, I will say this that much though, because we want this code to work for our county. If you have anything that you would like to put in writing and send to us, we're gonna be welcome to review it and give it consideration.
I thought today is this not the final vote?
Today, well, we've already had the public hearings. We had, 2 public hearings with planning and zoning board and then with the commission. All 3 meetings, no one showed up, not a soul. So
is it just revisions today or is it the final vote?
the code's been adopted, it's done. These are just some revisions that we're making to technical things. But, the code is a live document. We want it to work for our county. So if there are things that you would like to present, we'd love to hear them because we're all ears about what to make this county work. If you've got it, we'd love to hear it.
Send them to us, we can always make future changes.
I appreciate that, and the only thing I would say to it is just try to look at it from the angle of people. This is people's property. A lot of times it's the biggest investment for me personally. It's the biggest investment I have in my life, and I already pay the county for the opportunity to own it in my taxes. I would just appreciate if the county would allow me to do what I need to do.
If you've got ideas,
I will.
We want to hear them.
I will email it to you. Thank you.
All right. Nathan, you got anything else with regard to SB 40 board or Water District 2? All right. Anyone else would like to speak with regard to anything that's on the agenda today? Then I'll give you 3 minutes each for any.
Did mine start already?
No.
Okay,
No.
just checking. Did not want to get a jip for me 3 minutes of time in front of the commission because it's valuable. I'm speaking to the code. You guys did a horrible job getting the word out. Yeah, turn around, look at it. Did a horrible job getting the word out to the public that these were going in front of the planning zone. Okay, it was come to our attention that blip in the newspaper, we have hearings. Everybody does social media. There's a whole lot better way to communicate with your public. That's issue number 1. You're wanting input. You didn't get our input because it wasn't publicized well. The second thing is, I don't know how much this commission has got to realize that when you get out of our way, we at the Lake of the Ozarks do very well. COVID was a prime example. You guys came out with your ordinance shutting us down. We put pressure on you. You got out of our way. You put it in our ballpark. Man, did we do good. The business owners absolutely stepped up to the plate during COVID and performed here at Lake of the Ozarks. Government got out of our way. Hold that up. Does this look like government getting out of our way? Right there. Code. Greg Williams, you did a great job writing your retirement fund right here because it's going to take an attorney to be able to do business in Camden County with 254 pages of code. Bravo. Good job. That's great. So anyway, my big deal is when government gets out of our way, we have proven that we perform here at Lake of the Ozarks. That's what I ask. This needs to be very minimal, easy to read. It's not. It's a big mess. That's all I got.
Thank you, John.
Oh, one more thing. Do I got a minute?
Yep.
I did see some sunshineable bills. One thing that was very apparent on this code, we had the commissioner completely left out of emails. That would be a great way to table this thing. He was left out of every email that he sent to the commission on this code.
That's true, Charlie was too.
Every one of them, guys. That's transparency for you. And representative government, thank you.
Which, that is very infuriating to me because most of this code applies to my district today. And what was your excuse for that? You didn't know my email? Go Google my name and you can pull it up pretty easily. That's inexcusable, honestly.
I'm going to address something that was written and passed out when people, I guess the planning and zoning board got the code or the board of adjustment. I never got that. This was included because one of my friends went in and got a copy, thank you from James, who gave it to us. But you use my name. You use my name. And it says, this is exactly what it says as part of what they were given. The commission would specifically like to thank Stacy Shore for her time and expertise, which she devoted to this issue and her assistance in the review and development of this ordinance. That is a lie. I never got a copy. You never handed me a copy of this to review. Yet when you handed, I guess, the final revision out, you put this on top. That is a lie. You should be ashamed. You took me to lunch, Dawn and Greg, with Greg Williams at Kinderhook. We were all there. You handed me a document you wanted me to approve and say that I bought into. I said I did not. This is deplorable and unacceptable. You remember it? I was there. I'm asking you, you've already adopted this? You did it without the buy-in of a commissioner and an entire public. You cannot use my name. That is fraudulent. I did not accept this. I don't appreciate it. If you did it, Greg Williams, I don't appreciate it. It's fraudulent. I did not buy in. I did not help write it. I was part of a committee that was appointed. We met one time. One time. We never met again. That's not buy-in. Haven't had time to really go through all of it and give anything. There should have been open public hearings that were noticed to the public, not in Lake Sun. Nobody reads Lake Sun. You know as well as everyone knows, Facebook, social media is where we get our information, yet you try to hide it. Just like you try to hide the emails to our commissioner. This is what's disgusting to me. In the legal bills for Greg Williams that I just sunshined, there are instances of he has meetings with Don and Greg, not James. That's a quorum. That should have been noticed as a public meeting. Well, it says it right here. It's billable hours. I don't know. Certainly does not look like you did this in the light of day and for public buy-in and consent. And I'm very disappointed. But you used my name. I don't appreciate it because I did not buy into this. Shame on you, both of you, and you.
Anyone else want to speak with regard to this code revision or any other item on the agenda?
Okay, so I got this last night and thought, oh, you know what? We've been in construction for 20 years. We've lived in a very liberal state. Let's see how crazy this is compared to the state that we're from, because that's really crazy there. So I started going through it, and I'm like, 254 pages. This is crazy. So 4 hours in, I made it to 118. It was 10:30 at night, and I gave up and quit. So my question actually is, did you guys read this? I mean, did you actually go through the whole thing? Because that's probably about 40 hours that you need to go through thoroughly to go through and check, and then go back to, there's a whole bunch of stuff in Road and Bridge. They've been consulted to see if this is actually practical, applicable things. So I went through and just quick perusal some different things here that are just kind of crazy. And these are my notes, so bear that in mind, it's not professional. So it says you have to have a pre-conference before you go do any of your planning. Why can't there just be a piece of paper people can pick up and know exactly what they're supposed to do? Wouldn't that be just as simple? Pre-approvals from fire department, you had to have pre-approvals from every little thing. That's kind of crazy. We hadn't had that there. Land disturbance permit for utilities on site exceeding 1 acre. It's another permit, more money. Landscaping buffers. This is something that actually was hurting our Delaware businesses because they said, okay, everyone needs to have buffers in front. So you buy commercial frontage, that way you'd have that view. And then they'd say, okay, go ahead and put all these shrubs and all these different things in front of it to buffer it. So we had businesses that, get ticked off and they put land mounds in front of it instead, and that's what you ended up getting instead. It's just kind of crazy. One of the things I really wanted to go to though, there's a couple, actually there's lots, you have them all. Can't live in a camper while you're building your house if you're in this district. I mean, that kind of eliminates the middle class from building, because that's how a lot of them do it. That's how all my friends did it. I don't know how you guys do it.
Wait, what? You can't live in an RV?
Yeah. Page 118B2, and that's where I clicked. So above that, though, it goes on to say conditional use permits. Adult entertainment facilities provided that the use shall be located a minimum of 1,000 feet from any existing educational or religious worship site, or the use shall be located a minimum of 500 feet from residences. Here's the thing, I mean, I don't know if kids around here walk or not, but I had to walk to school when I was in middle school. I had to walk them out of school, and I had to walk them out home. I'm not making that up, that really is how far you can ask my husband. So, I mean, are these kids going to be allowed to walk past stripper clubs? Are going to be walking past porn shops? I mean, what is this about? And not to mention the fact that it's against the law, according to that article I gave you guys from 2010.
30 seconds.
Okay, that article states that you can't have that within 1,000 feet of a residence. So is this code then against the law in general due to that particular provision? And you can read the rest of the stuff.
Is that correct, Kim, about the cannot live in a camper while building your house?
If you pull a permit to construct a residential, home, you can pull a second dwelling permit and have a camper stay in the camper while the permit is valid.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, and
Second
just to
dwelling.
confirm, Kim, before we go on to the next thing here. All of those public meetings with regard to the planning and zoning meetings where this code was reviewed, the public hearings that took place of the commission were noticed in accordance with law,
correct,
and they were posted on our website.
yes.
Okay, I just want to confirm that because we had 2 meetings of the planning and zoning board, where this was brought forward. The planning and zoning board reviewed it, and was there anyone that showed up
No,
at
No,
any of
it's-
the 3 meetings?
no, and as far as the buffering goes, the sign-offs, that is the same as it's always been.
And
You've always had to get sign-offs for your permits.
the planning and zoning board voted on this for adoption and sending it to the committee or to the commission. And what was the vote on that?
There were 6 members present last month, and all 6 recommended approval to send to you guys.
Okay, so it was a unanimous vote of the planning and zoning board to approve this and send it to the commission. Thank you. Okay, sir, go ahead.
Charlene, like we said with Nathan, if you have anything specific you'd like to add. send it.
Absolutely.
That's what I gave you guys. What I went through.
All right, take a look at it.
I mean, this is a living document. We want to get it fixed. If there's things that need to be fixed, let's address it. We want this code to work for our community. Sir, go ahead.
These are kind of the leftist shenanigans that go on in Kansas City, St. Louis, Columbia, Springfield, New York, and Claremont, California. Who is Herbert Hafif, and why did his group fund your campaign?
That's not a part of this meeting.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Obviously, I've never been to a commission meeting. You know,
Welcome.
I'm just a voter. You know, kind of got wind of this like after everything was kind of crazy happening. So I'm literally this morning going to work because I work. You know, everybody does. You know, do our part. So I actually whip a UE, and I'm like, you know, where's this meeting at? You know, so here I am. So as a citizen, you know, you guys did a horrible job, like everybody said, of getting the word out. Me and you are actually Facebook friends with him. I know who you are. You know, I've lived here for 30 some years, so I grew up here. So, anyways, you guys did a horrible job. 254 pages. Even if the 6 people that did get that, could they read that? Like she said, how many hours is that going to take to read before they pass it on to you guys for approval? The 6 commissioners that voted for it. So right there, you know, there's a time lapse. You can't just, and you know that nobody showed up. A lot of people don't show up for these meetings until everybody gets pissed off. And then, you know, we turn around and come to work, and here we are, you know. So as the voting block, you guys got to realize you're on the clock every day. Every day. And we're going to hold you accountable to not try to push a bunch of garbage down our throat until here we are, everybody's here. I don't think there's a lot of support. They were talking about it on the radio, you know. Go on the radio, get the word out. But we know what happens whenever you get on the radio. People start calling, you start getting roasted because you don't have a lot of support. Because everybody's seeing the BS day by day. And I don't think everybody's going to stand up for this. A recall, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there that I think as citizens, and actually it makes me want to get more involved in like coming to these meetings and seeing what's going on and the crap that you're trying to push in this county. People come here, love this because we have the freedom. We don't have to go through. That's just over-regulation, telling people what they can do for their property. There's a lot of people out there that are property owners here at the lake that aren't involved until you start doing stuff like this. That's all I got to say.
There are 11 planning and zoning members, is that right? Is that correct?
We have a few vacant townships right now,
But they're
so.
scheduled to be 11.
Correct.
So you had a unanimous vote of half is what you had. And I think that Kahika Township, which is where I live, is vacant. So unfortunately, I am not able to work through my representative because there is no representative. So that is, I think to everyone's point, that is a bit of a problem. And perhaps we need to look at different planning and zoning members and adding those and filling those positions if we're not able to work through our representatives, because they're supposed to represent that township, and if there's no one there, you know, what is even really the point? So I guess I would just encourage you to look at that. And as everyone said, this really is big government brought to us by Republican commissioners, and whether you want to admit it or not, that's what it is. Most of us don't want that. We don't want that in our life. We want government to be very, very little, very, very small on our private property. And this seems like that's the opposite of that. So I would encourage you to look at this entire document, not just bits and pieces of it, and potentially redo it all. And I think, Don, you have mentioned, you're my commissioner, you've mentioned a number of times your concern over the expansion of government. And you're correct. This seems like that's what it is. So I would just ask and encourage you to pull this back. And let's really think about what we're doing here. Thank you. Love the shirt, by the way. Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, how many vacancies? Did you say 5 or 4?
Let's see, I think we have a member now that submitted an application for Kahika. And then there's 3 other townships that are unrepresented right now.
We had a recent resignation, didn't we?
Yes, we have a recent resignation. There's an application before you now for the Kahika Township, and then so.
I think that was me. I put it in for that.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen yours. Somebody else. Osage is vacant now, and I'd have to look
Okay,
at the
So-
list.
Okay.
it does appear that there is a large amount of vacancies, and specifically in the second district, which is my district, and so I'd like to express concern that we're not doing our job. That the commission, specifically the second district commissioner, is not doing a job to make sure that we're well represented before this was adopted. So I just wanted to express that, thank you.
Okay, anyone else want to address any items that are on this specific agenda with regard to the Water District Number 2, ARPA funds, SB 40 Board appointment, or P&Z code?
Yes, good morning. I wasn't gonna say a thing. I've been here 40-some years. I've seen commissions come and go. I've seen a lot of shenanigans pulled. This is probably about as full of shenanigans in the last 3 years that I've seen in this county. I wasn't gonna say anything this morning until I just saw Mr. McAyey give his friend Mr. Williams here a head shake like we're all a bunch of idiots. You didn't think anybody saw it, I did. We're watching. And that's the problem. You don't think anybody's watching because for 50 years, none of us really have. We were watching during the COVID nonsense with the fake pandemic that was forced on us, and you too tried to shut the county down. We know you did, it's in writing. You can't deny that, oh, I wanted this freedom in the county. We know better. You saw what the county citizens did. We revolted. And probably that's what's gonna happen if this stuff all continues. I have a couple of questions. Who authorized the hiring of an attorney when we had an attorney on payroll for the county?
Planning and zoning is typically something, and correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie. Typically, you don't get involved in planning and zoning, and you haven't during the course of the time that we've had it.
That's correct.
Okay, well, there are attorneys that kind of specialize in those things, and we try to seek those out. We had Hush Blackwell at the initial portion of this because they are an expert at it. They wrote the initial draft. We've had some personnel changes before we moved toward trying to get something adopted, and we consulted with Mr. Williams here to finish up some things that are on a local level, at which all of us here, well, at least Don and I, agree that he's an expert on real estate at the Lake of the Ozarks. He was very helpful in giving us information that would make our code smoother and work with the property owners of Camden County. So he really did a good service for us with regard to fixing things where we recognized we had a problem. And all of those things were presented in an actual planning and zoning meeting to the board. It was a lengthy meeting that went on for probably 4 hours. Nobody was there, but all the board members were sitting and listening to, you need to fix this, and here's the reason why. It went on and on and on until late in the evening. We had another meeting, same way. So we really worked to address problems with this code throughout it. It's taken a while. Things like minimum square footages have gone down from 8,500 square foot to 5,000. The waterfront setback is eliminated, even though you need to know there are other issues involved with that. Don't just go building down by the waterfront, because you gotta respect Ameren's ownership, and property rights, the project boundary, things along those lines. So even though we don't have a waterfront setback, you're still gonna have to deal with where property boundaries are at, where regulation rights are at. FEMA, FERC is involved. So, but we
We've always
really,
had to deal with that without a 250-page document that is written in what I call legalese, that generally only an attorney or someone who has an attorney on file can interpret to what that really means. There are things written in there, and I haven't read all of it. who's gonna determine things like your water runoff? Is that a figure? Is there a figurehead who's gonna be appointed by the county that's gonna go out now and determine all that? When we talk about water runoff volume and things like that?
Well, that's through our planning and zoning administrators.
Yeah, this whole document to me appears like it's been given to us by, in my neighborhood, I've got people who have fled California and Illinois because of stuff like this and come to Lake of the Ozarks to build here because they can build and live without all these naughty, stupid restrictions that Illinois and California put on them. This looks like it was given to the county by, let's say, maybe a California real estate investor of some kind. I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
Not yet. Thanks.
Long legs.
Okay. First, what I read in the Camden County site said Camden County land use. Most of us did not get a chance to vote on P&Z, and it didn't apply to all of us. Is this a Camden County introduction of planning and zoning that you haven't bothered to ask us if we want? I see him shaking his head. Is this or is this not in the P&Z zone only or for the whole county?
Yeah, this is just P&Z only.
Okay,
Lake Area Planning and Zoning District.
Yeah.
the people who represent, since I'm not in that now, but I think those people need to be elected by the people in that area, not appointed by somebody with an agenda. And my third comment is for you, Mr. Williams. Nobody is ever going to buy your line again that you are a lifelong conservative and that you are a staunch protector. You sound like Mitt Romney. I'm a severe conservative. It's not going to fly anymore. The two of you need to be gone, and we need to have people that represent this county. This is, to put it bluntly, BS. Thank you.
We didn't just write that code, the whole goal here is to revise it and to make it easier for people. Like Greg said, it's a living document. We can continue to change it, we can continue to make it work better for people.
There is no such thing as a living document. It's a contract, it's a law, it's not living.
Well, it can continue to be changed, is what I'm saying.
And that's what we're here for, to make sure it goes away.
And we welcome your changes. Let us know what you'd like to be changed, and we'll try to do it.
Get rid of it.
And
It's that simple. Get rid of it.
Well, it was voted on by the people of this county.
Can it be voted on again? Like 6 people? No, he's talking about
I'm
planning
sure
and
that
zoning.
I'm not sure what the details are, but it can be voted on.
That's what I'm saying, could it be on there, just, do we want planning and zoning or not again?
Can we dump it?
No, I'm not just, I'm trying not to be interrupted.
Okay, that's something, I will look into it. I will get back with you.
Thank you.
Okay,
James, have you read this?
No,
Every page?
no.
Greg, have you read every page?
I haven't read every page.
John, have you read every
I
page?
may have read every page over a period of time because we've been making revisions as we go, and as revisions come in, I would see them.
And
So,
you've read the final document within the last 4 weeks?
no, not all the way through.
Don, have you read every page?
I've read the revisions, I haven't read every page.
So you've not read every page? Okay. Do you think that the reason that people didn't show up to the meetings, the public hearings, was because we didn't care or we didn't know?
And to be honest with you, I was quite stunned that nobody was there because the method that we used to post those meetings were the same as every other meeting that we ever had in which this room gets filled with some specific issue. When we're dealing with planning and zoning, there's almost always a bunch of people in the room. But on these meetings that we had, and I believe that there were 3, there was not a soul in the room. It blew me away.
It blows me away too. It's my negligence that I didn't come, that I didn't know. I will agree with that. But you just said anything that's this concerning, this room fills up. As presiding commissioner, You should have known that this meeting was coming today, that once we found out that there were 54 pages that look like California, New Jersey, Delaware, and worse, that this would happen and we'll be outraged. And it happens. So try better. Try again. Mention it at a commission meeting. Get the word out.
This code is far less restrictive than the one that we had right before it. So
Are you
the
sure?
length of the book is about the same as it was. Well, our code can always be less restrictive.
And then it's a lot restricted than it was before. That was the whole goal of making changes to it.
But I also want to remind you, because I've been going to these meetings for a long, long time, ever since they've had them, that every time you have a meeting and there's some point of controversy, typically there's about as many people in the room that are one way as the other on planning and zoning. So whenever something, typically what I've seen is when somebody wants to do something, they want to try to get it done, and when it's the next door neighbor, they don't want it happening. So that's kind of a little bit the way our government is. We're a first-class county. If people want to put it on the ballot and vote out planning and zoning, well, I guess we can do that and we can find out. We would see what the people would want to do.
I don't believe that anybody in this room doesn't think that we need some planning and zoning. What we don't want to look like and act like is the Illinois and the California that people flocked here from. The reason that our sales tax increase is up in the last 2 years is because of our freedom, not because of this. We flourish because we're independent. We flourish because we're hardy. Some of us, Greg Hasty, you and I both have been here for generations. This is not how we got here. We got here because we were independent, because we were strong, because we were here before the lake was even built. We're blessed with this, but this is not blessing us. So I ask, is there anybody in the room that's for this document as it stands? That came today?
Is it less restrictive than the one that's currently in place? We don't really know. None of them all read all of them.
Hold on a second, Kim. Do we have a PDF with the red lines on it where the changes occurred?
It was on the website for quite a while, but it was so bad that you couldn't make heads or tails out of it, because I guess so many different people had their hands on revising it, and you could never
It was very
good,
convoluted. I saw it
could not
too.
get a good, I mean, I tried every way I knew to get a red line copy of it together, and it would never work no matter what I tried.
I mean, we'd almost need to hire somebody just to specifically point out the changes between the codes, right?
I even painstakingly took a PDF and put it into a Word document and tried my best to clean that up and then compare it through Word. And it wasn't giving me any better red line copy than before.
Look, I want to make this really clear here, folks. If any of you in this room have specific items that you want to see changed to this code to make it operate better for this county, we're all ears. You send us something, we'll look at it, and we'll figure out some way to get this. I want that planning and zoning code to be adopted because I want that waterfront setback gone as soon as possible. This has been a long fight to get anything adopted. These code changes that we're making are going to allow for development to take place that wouldn't have taken place before. Our code was so restricted before that a developer wouldn't come in here and build housing for people who are trying to work and make a living here. And that is some of the things that we wanted to specifically address. We've made big changes with regard to this code to put our county in a position where a developer might be willing to come in and actually build residential housing for people who are trying to make a living here. That was one of the main focuses, but I'm just telling you, perfectly clear. If you've got something, if you've got some specifics, put them in writing. We'll get them there.
Well, you know, like Stacy said, you guys had something before put together a group of people that were reviewing the revisions. Why don't we have that again? Why don't we go back to having, you know, I'll be honest, I defer to John, Stacy, and Laura. I mean, they've been on planning and zoning boards. That's who I go to when I have questions about it. Obviously, Kim and Michelle help me out a ton, but I think maybe that would go a long way towards easing some of the tensions. I mean, you guys keep saying, well, send us the changes, well, why don't we have them like you had it.
Why don't we adopt all these changes that we've made now and get them underway, and we'll look at that other stuff.
What I'm saying,
I mean, the process has already been through. We've gone through the public hearings completely. No one showed up. And it was noticed just like every other meeting.
Well, Mr. Hasty, we've showed up today and we're telling you that we're not happy. So we're
Okay,
asking.
but you're not giving us anything specific.
I got this document and printed it at 10 o'clock last night because I was not aware. Now I'm here saying, I'm pleading to my representatives, please do not move forward until at least the concerned citizens in this room, 72 hours to read the document, at least that long. Some of us knew about this at 10 o'clock and I went and printed it. This is really interesting.
Okay.
The edge
Your
of,
3 minutes is up.
really?
Yeah,
You
it's
all
been
have
up a long time.
You all have talked through most of it, actually.
Well, I've been watching. I've been timing when you. Okay, someone else.
Back to when you guys organize these meetings, the Lake Sun recently was sold. I'm not getting into the business, but it's probably because nobody's been viewing that paper. So you guys might want to update, that tactic. And I just, why are you pushing for this, Greg? If you can see like the room has concerns, I just don't know what the big push is instead of holding off and maybe.
There are some provisions in this new revision that will really help developers be able to develop property. And when you have waterfront properties that the 25-foot setback makes them unbuildable, that needs to be stopped and stopped now.
Yeah, I mean that's that's a lot of shoreline we're talking about, but it just seems like there's a lot of other people that have other properties that have concerns. I don't know. I just don't know what the big push is. Like, why can't the citizens?
Well, you know what? We've gone through this process. This is the final adoption of the code's adopted.
Yeah, I know.
It comes in place January the 1st, one way or the other. It's done.
Yeah, I didn't read anything about the RVs. I like RVs. But the fact you couldn't live in an RV on your land, I think that's something that needs to be looked at. If it's in the code, I guess I haven't read it either. But I just want to make a comment on the newspaper and the fact nobody reads it, and that's not a good time.
Well, I believe that we're bound by statute on that.
Yeah, I think that was written in like the 30s, right? It was written in the 30s.
That's right.
No, I know. I'm not.
But that's the state legislature that would have to address that, not us.
I understand, but there's other papers, there's other ways.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak?
Microphone's here.
Hi, I just found out about this meeting by accident yesterday, and to let you know, I'm a retired patent attorney. I understand how red lines work. I understand how you get multiple comments on a document, and looked for a red line, did not find a red line. For those in the room that don't know what a red line is, a red line takes your original document. If you've made an addition, it'll show the addition and underline. If you've made a deletion, it will show it in strikeout. So you can review the revisions, and if you're lucky enough to have the Word document, you can actually accept all changes and then the document as it would stand. So to me, it sounds like, not having been involved, you did not do your job, and maybe you did not do your job. The fact that it was a PDF to start with means someone had a straight type, I guess. I don't know. But a red line should have been made available. The other thing that I'm hearing, and because I found out about this by accident, is that there are legal requirements for meetings. And you should meet those, and it sounds like you have. That's perfect. Except you are elected, and you should do more than the minimum. And it sounds like that standard has not been met, and so people have a right to be activated, right? That's it. Thank you. Oh, no, there was one more thing I wanted to point out that I just learned a few minutes ago. Section 1305, County Commission actions on amendments. I'm not sure if this is an amendment. Is this an amendment that we're looking at?
You call it an amendment or a rewrite?
Says
Says
technical
zero.
revision.
Okay. If it's considered an amendment, and revisions kind of loosely would be called an amendment, I'm not sure what your legal definition of amendment is here. It says, at the conclusion of public hearing held by the Planning Commission on a proposed amendment, the County Commission, that's you guys, can proceed to render a decision, refer the issue to the committee for further review, which I think is what people here are asking for, and notice when those reviews are going on and what happens, or take any other action consistent with its rules of procedure. So it sounds like you guys, it's not really just a done deal, and you can do something.
We weren't expecting it to be a done deal. We will, like I said before, we are going, if you have something valid that you want to present with regard to this code, you are welcome to put it in writing, and if it's something that will help this county in terms of growth, we're there to listen.
Good morning. On or about 10/21 of 2021, there was a court appearance regarding the commission hearing on adoption of revised code. The commission unanimously adopts revised code, discusses possible additional revisions to code with commission and planning administrator, according to a billing statement. So you guys already adopted this.
Yeah.
As you said, it's gonna come in first of the year.
January 1st.
So all the changes that we want aren't gonna matter unless you come back and revise it again. So I guess my main point is, and as it was brought up before, the very bare legal minimum was done to let people know that this was even happening. This has been going on for over a year. You had a panel convened. This is something that's gonna affect every single property owner in this county. It doesn't matter where they live in that zoning and planning and zoning area. Yet you see now these people up in arms because we didn't know that this was happening, that all this was in there. You say if there are provisions that we want to get changed, how in the heck could we possibly giving you notice when we haven't seen the 254 pages?
How does it affect every single property owner?
Anyone that's in that land area that wants to do any kind of, it even says in here, if you're gonna dig up your land and you have more than an acre, you have to get permission. If you're gonna disturb your land, you didn't read all of this, you don't know what's in it.
How does it impact people who are not in the planning and zoning district?
It's still property values, it's all that you have encompassed, and it's my understanding that this wants to be revised, the planning and zoning area wants to be stretched out farther. So if it's been talked about before, we need to shrink it down even more, in my opinion, but that's beside the point. So anyone that lives in this area, is going to be affected by it, 100%. And here's one change I'll tell you right now that somebody else pointed out. So many times you see an individual building a piece of property around here, and they have a travel trailer sitting there that they can live in while they're building their property. That's been stricken in this code. Did you know that? Is that cool? No.
I don't think it was ever in there.
No.
I don't have the page now, and I can't look through all that. I wish I brought that page up here. I highlighted it. I know it's in there, so that can be stricken. So here's my point. The public has not had the opportunity to read this and give their input, even at the hearing. You already said it's been in this October, it was adopted. So even those hearings, the people wouldn't have been able to give their input. And again, if you
There
thought
was
of
a public hearing. People could have showed up. The planning and zoning board was appointed by the county.
If you use the very minimum required by law, you
said we've been working on this for a year.
Anyone else?
When, Kim, is this tiny home development, is that a new addition? I know for a fact, me and Donnie were, this says developments that involve tiny homes are required to provide a storm shelter of adequate size to accommodate all the residents of the development. Donnie, we talked about this. We said we wanted to make it as easy for any tiny homes or any type of housing, because we have a housing issue here.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't ever remember us saying that they would be required to have a storm shelter, do you?
No, I know. That's something we should probably strike right now.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry,
they were
Laura, I did not even know you were right there, sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sure. So I actually got a copy of the code one day, and I didn't bring it back, and I'm really sorry because I got it and I didn't feel like I was really welcome to have it, but I'm the one that has the press release about Stacy Shore, and that it is what it is. It's here, but so my complaint is exactly what my lovely lady friend over here said, is that there is absolutely no way to compare the current code, which I have right here because I was on the Board of Adjustment, to the proposed code, or I guess what we're saying now is the adopted code. Any basic contract law, any policy revision, this is from actually the Missouri School Board Association, if you can imagine. Missouri School Board Association knows how to revise policy. They do red line, and they do an obvious, notation of the new language. So you strike the old language and you add the new language, and it's very obvious. And with respect, I've done it myself in this document. So if I can do it, and I know it's ugly and it looks like a mess, and here's the reason, is because we've moved things. So we've changed the definition of a dwelling unit. We've changed the definition of hotel motel, which may be to comply with other things. We've added the definition of a modular home. We don't have, I can just go on and on. We've added powers and duties to the planning and zoning administrator. We've delineated all those which weren't previously delineated. In a minor plat, we've changed the ability to make a minor plat from 2 acres to 3 acres. We've changed permits. We've called them zoning. They've changed from zoning to construction and add on to item E. Other permits may also be issued in the manner prescribed by this code. We've changed construction permits. We've added the entire section of section 503, which is procedures for construction permits. We've added, we've changed land disturbance, that we moved that from Article 1200. And so we've made that article section 504. We've changed the medical hardships. We've moved it from section 800 and now it's section 507. We've changed, the article was Article 600, now is 700, the enforcement and review. We have also within that changed one very specific number. Previously, the time frame for correcting a violation was 90 days. We've changed it to 30 days. So if you have a violation in the code,
20 seconds.
Great. And so then you changed also residential business hours. We've changed from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. We've changed it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So all that to say, it's almost impossible to go through this code and look and see what the changes are. And it needs to be redlined, it needs to be reviewed, and that's all.
Thank you.
90 days to 30 days. It's not less restrictive.
Yeah, it's not less restrictive.
Especially in this economy with the bills.
Here's the RV one.
It's from that.
Okay, anyone else want to speak with regard to any issue that's on the agenda for the commission this morning?
Sir, I spoke, but I'd like to ask you
We're aware. Thank you.
And to hell with us.
I'll make a motion to table this.
Thank you.
Send it back to the planning and zoning. Get your vacant seats filled and send it back and let us have some input.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yeah.
In the meantime, any of you folks who want to look at this code and have revisions and things you want to see in there, things you want to have deleted, whatever you would like to see, the way we operate, bring it to us.
I'd like to ask, so you told me change the setback and nothing else?
We'll put it back.
You don't like allowing
Everything's in
smaller
red.
lots?
I'm saying,
You don't like getting rid
red.
of curb and gutter requirements?
I'm saying there's too much in it. This is like the federal government. Instead of doing 101 things at once and changing paragraphs and
Now,
everything.
I
He
want.
asked me a question, I'm answering it. Change that one thing. I think most people can agree with that. That will help builders. Change that one thing. And then while we consider this, you can have that done, which seemed to be Mr. Hastings' pet project.
What I wanted to do originally when we started doing this was to make it easier for people to develop lots. Because we had curb and gutter requirements where people had to build a curb and gutter system to get a gravel road and things like that. I wanted people to be able to build smaller homes on smaller lots if that's what they wanted to do.
Mr. Job, as my commissioner, is not to make things easier for builders without reading the U.S. and the state constitution and first and foremost, protecting my rights. My rights to property, my rights to liberty, my rights to prosper from my, daily
Fruits
chores,
of your
whatever.
labor.
That is your first job, not to say, well, we want the builders to come in here. I think it's great if you can do both, but your first job is to protect us.
Okay.
I just want to clarify, the original intent of this is if you saw what they had to deal with down in planning and zoning, it is, in the summertime, it was overwhelming. And honestly, when I heard Laura speak, permit, add addition. So I was kind of taken aback by that too. But the original intent of what I thought we were doing was to make the process of planning and zoning, because it's a volunteer board, so those people were very grateful, but they'll be there till midnight sometimes going through all this stuff. So I think they've gotten to the point where they're so sick of it, really, they're just, approving everything. And the original spirit of the revision was to make that process speedier, but then, like I said, when Laura got up there, it's addition, and more restrictive. So I do think it needs to be looked at, but we've got some people that are waiting for the regular planning and zoning, so.
Well, something else I want to point out, and this is an important point. The Planning and Zoning Board adopted by this county, appointed by this county, they independently reviewed this entire code, and they adopted it unanimously. Yeah, there's a wide variety of people on that planning and zoning board, but there's a statutory procedure here, and the statutory procedure has been fulfilled, and the planning and zoning board adopted by this county reviewed all of this stuff, and they brought this to the commission. These things were presented in public meetings. The entire legal process has been done, and now we're going to set this aside, which is essentially setting aside all the input that planning and zoning board, who was appointed by this county, had with regard to this code. How are we supposed to get people to serve on these boards if we're effectively just spitting in their face whenever they're reviewing the code? Now, I understand you guys want to have some input here. It frustrates me because, honestly, when we had the first meeting and I was expecting the room to be packed and all this stuff to take place, nobody was there. We have voted. We're setting this aside. If you guys have information, that's great. Bring it to us. and we will figure out, and I'm not gonna do any more hands. I mean, we've gone through this, everybody's talked, the vote has been made. We're gonna proceed with the rest of our commission meeting. So, the next thing that is up on the agenda, the first thing actually on the agenda is Water District Number 2 ARPA funds. So does anyone here wanna speak with regard to that?
Yeah, we definitely need some help putting the water line, replacing the water line from the airport to Montreal, because the old line's been in there since about 72 or 73. And I know because I was on the board then too, and I'm still on the board. But the water pressure out in Montreal needs help, and it just, I mean, they got pressure there, it just, but at the legal, thing, and nobody's not using it. So we need help if we can get it. And if we got, I'm not very good at this, I know what needs to be done. And replace the line and extend the line. See, the old line went down and crossed the glaze down old Highway 7 and up through there. We'd like to change it, put it out, going up the hill the other way.
It still crosses right there at the old highway?
At the old bridge down there.
Okay.
And they just a 4-inch line up through there. We'd like to go to a 6-inch line.
You were asking for $6 million?
I don't know, something like that.
I see your, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Financials.
Something where.
Right, okay.
Well, a lot of this would qualify, for matching funds through DNR.
I think they actually would, because it goes off of, who was in that meeting?
Well, to help the water, we'd like to put nothing else but a tower or a standpipe out there at Montreal.
Yeah.
And that'd help the water situation going both directions, cause that, going up Montreal Hill there, that's a pretty
Who's
good
your
push.
engineer on this, on your water district?
Jim Jackson.
Mandy, what were you gonna say?
From what we learned from that meeting the other day, the DNR grant meeting, they do not have the specifics laid out for the matching grants. So we're gonna basically kind of follow that timeline. They are coming. What that meeting was basically an informational meeting of what low, very, very low interest rates loans are out there for these things. There are matching grants coming, but they're not available just yet.
Okay.
Wasn't it March?
Yep.
Okay, well, obviously, we're not gonna spend any of that money except for some of our, charitable things that we're doing before the end of the year. The rest of it's in a CD, but after the first year, we'll be making decisions on that, so if we can.
See, a lot of our problem is, we got 650 customers.
Yeah.
Well, the average water bill's $30-something.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to do a lot of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to they wanted you to raise your rates out there, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
You're right, Montreal's so high up, you need a tower.
Yeah, we need something out there. And see, Montreal, in a town there itself, it's gotta be cast iron pipe, because of the gas.
It's all cast iron
In Montreal, a lot of it, yeah.
in the city proper.
Yeah,
You're talking
right
about
there,
out
yeah,
in the-
because all them gas stations, there's gas in the soil there and it's still there.
Didn't they talk about some type of grant or funding, or maybe you know?
It was those
Oh.
loans that they were talking about, and that was one of the, basically the qualifications for those. It's either population,
It was lead pipe, that's what it was.
Yeah, yeah. And we don't know don't remember in 72 or 73, what cast iron pipe, what they put in there.
It could be lead.
It could be lead. So, you know, we don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to that guy, here in the next couple of weeks and find out if they can do like a test on your piping out there or something, cause if you got lead pipes, I know they make a extremely easy route for, you basically get jumped up to the top of the list. That was one of the main criteria, that if you had lead piping.
Yeah. Do what?
So we need to talk to your engineer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Alan can answer a lot of questions.
Okay.
You need to talk to him.
All right.
That's all I know.
We've got you on the agenda. We'll figure
Okay, you
something
better
out. Okay, next item up on the regular agenda is, a Senate Bill 40 appointment. Okay, the, gentleman that has applied to be on our SB 40 board is Paul DiBillo, I believe is the name.
Yep.
Okay, you guys have, what's your say on this?
I defer to him.
Are you good? Okay,
Make a motion to approve Paul DeBillo to the SB 40 board.
those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, you all have to sign. Okay, the next one we have, for our SB 40 board appointments is Elizabeth Perkins. And I know Elizabeth real well. She is an incredible asset to our community, so,
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Jeff Tower would really help with that water pressure. Yeah.
How many? No, Ernie told me how many feet of line do you guys have out there? Like how much of it is cast iron is what I'm mostly interested in. Yeah.
The document
Okay, we have one
received
more.
for request said
We
14
have
months.
one more, Senate Bill 40 appointment, and that is Brian Willie.
That's what
Brian
they
has served for
requested.
a long period of time. He's great for our community, so,
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So, just thinking about this too, do we send all these volunteer boards an official, like, commission, thank you for serving on this board, like to the sewer board, the planning and zoning board? Do we do that on our county letterhead?
Yes, we did. Donna does it,
Okay.
yeah. So you've not done this before, but you should be receiving a document saying Donna will do it, and we all sign off. And she puts it in.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure we do
Yep.
that.
Okay, well, item number 3 on the agenda is the P and Z code, and since we've already covered that, there's nothing else on the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Hold on, we got the whole P and Z rezones, I'm pretty sure that's why Farrah was there.
Oh, no. Okay. All right.
Kim, it's your show.
Yeah. Normally you identify these by number, so.
Okay, this portion of today's county commission hearing is governed by the Camden County Unified Land Use Codes. At this time, I would like to place into the official record for this hearing these codes as Exhibit A. The official zoning map is Exhibit B. The master plan is Exhibit C, and the case file for each case is Exhibit D for all of the cases to be heard at this hearing. Each item of business will be addressed as it appears on the agenda unless it is modified. The cases to be heard today are requests for the rezoning of property from one zone to another, and I've already been through the Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing process. The presiding commissioner will then inquire as to whether or not the applicant or representative would like to come forward to make any comments concerning the case. Then if anyone in the audience would like to come forward and make any comments, they must first be identified by the presiding commissioner, come to the front of the room, print their name on the sign-in sheet provided, and state for the record their name and address into the microphone. At the conclusion of all discussion concerning each case, the public hearing for that case will be closed and the county commission will proceed with a decision. An appeal to these proceedings must be filed with the circuit court.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, first one up is P&Z 210176 Wagner. This is State Road KK, Osage Beach. It's a rezone from R1 to B2. P&Z board recommended approval, 6 out of 6. So Kim?
Basically, you've summed it up. It's 1.62 acres. It's like I said, off KK, and it's R1 property. It's right there at KK on Farrell Drive.
Pelican.
Pelican.
Questions?
No.
No?
Make a motion to approve the rezone.
Killed it, man.
Oh, well, no, we can't go that quick.
Oh, well, anybody opposed? Right?
Is there anyone here that wants to, anyone else here who wants to speak on behalf of the proposed rezone? Is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition to the proposed rezone?
No, it is, there's a gentleman named Lance who owns 5 Star Fitness, I believe it is, who trains, cheer. And, we've sold his current highway location, so he's building a brand new facility. Cool.
And it's right on the
Sorry, I apologize.
No, that's all right. I mean,
James made the motion, I'll second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Good. Okay. Next thing up on the agenda is P&Z 21-0182 Lashley, Highway 54 roads rezone from A1 to I1. The P&Z board recommended approval of this, 6 out of 6. So, Kim?
This is approximately 9 acres. It's across from what most of us know is the old Davis Baskets property, now Kennedy Center. It's almost out of the planning and zoning district. It's right at the fringe of it. Mr. Lashley is here. He owns a local sign company and is looking to expand his business and consider manufacturing, and I-1 is what allows for manufacturing.
Okay.
And it is right along Highway 54.
Is a representative of the applicant here? Okay, would you like to speak, or?
I just got a few questions.
Oh, okay, go ahead. If you just a little bit further out, you wouldn't have to worry about this.
I was just curious, I know I'd asked you before, but how many jobs do you have proposed?
100. We're currently at 50 employees and looking to double that.
It's growing fast.
That's my only
Yes.
question.
Okay.
What do they call you out there, John? Rochians? It's French, right?
Yeah.
It's not roach, it's roche.
I guess if he doesn't have any more questions, you're good.
Okay.
Anyone opposed?
Is there anyone else here who wants to speak on behalf of the proposed rezone? Is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition? Okay. Gentlemen,
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
There you go,
Okay.
John, you're all set.
Yeah, you're done.
Sign your stuff, and you'll be able to. When do you start?
Okay, agenda is PZ 21-0186 Beckman, 254 Concrete Drive, Greenview. This is a rezone from I-1 to B2. And our P&Z board recommended approval 6 out of 6. So Kim, go ahead.
It's 19.2 acres. It's back behind, say the subway and things there at Greenview. It's back in there. Their plan is to put in self-storage, take it down from the industrial zoning to B2.
Okay. Is a representative or the applicant here? Okay. Is anyone else here that would want to speak on behalf of this proposed rezone? Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition with this proposed rezone? Be sure and state your name into the microphone.
Richard Pottinger. I was just down there. Some significant work has already happened. Land clearing and roads have been put in, and clearly not storage. I don't know what the plan is there. It's some pretty rugged terrain. I had no idea it was going on back there.
It looks like he says my current thoughts are possibly an RV park and storage facility.
There's a small area where the propane plant used to be that could be suitable for storage, but the rest of it isn't, and I don't know how you could get RVs in there. I could see camping. I just wonder if somebody's looked into this.
Here's the deal, that's I-2. He's going.
It's I-1, so I mean.
Oh, it's I-1?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
he's going down
he's going
majorly
down.
in zoning. He could put a hog farm in there and there wouldn't be nothing you could do about it.
Right now, he did.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
this
saying.
is a reduction in zoning.
That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
So, I know I got in a pretty big fight with the city because there was a plant next to my house going from industrial to agricultural. And honestly, it raised my property value tremendously, so, whatever he's wanting to do out here, going down is probably the best thing for you. But, I get, you might be disturbed that there's improvements going on, but you might really think about.
No, I was just questioning, you said storage, and it's clearly more than storage.
Well, who knows what he's doing, it's his property, but it says, possibly an RV park and storage facility, but if he's getting it zoned that way, he's gotta stay in the boundaries of the zone. Right now, industrial, he could do a lot.
Could do a trash transfer station right now.
He's
Sewage
actually-
treatment facility could go on there with its current zoning of I-1.
He's actually asking for a more restricted zoning.
Yeah,
Okay. I was just curious because it
Salvage
didn't
yard.
make sense.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. I think this is you, isn't it, Donnie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second,
Those in favor?
aye.
Motion carries. Okay, next one is PZ 21-0198 W Investment MM LLC. This is Lot 1 Redhead Subdivision, First Edition. This is a rezone from R1 to B2, and P&Z recommended approval 6 out of 6. So, Kim?
It's 8.07 acres, like you said, from R1 to B2. The property is located off Yacht Club Drive. It's across from the current Redhead Yacht Club facility.
Yep. Okay. It's representative of the applicant here.
Yes. Kyle Simpson, 253 Sneed Circle, Lake Ozark, Missouri.
Okay. Is there anything you wanna add on this at all?
No.
Okay.
What is it, the trailer parking?
Yeah, boat trailer parking. In years past, we've had a couple complaints about trailers being parked along the road up by Three Seasons. So this should get them out of the way back in there.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
definitely
Yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wanna speak, on behalf of this proposed rezone from, R1 to B2? Okay, anyone wanna speak in opposition? All right, I believe this is your district.
I'll make a motion to approve the rezone.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, we're done with that. Last thing on the agenda was the, technical revision, to the planning and zoning code. We've already covered that, we've covered the issue, so with nothing else being on the agenda.
Just one thing, there's a benefit lunch December 21st, for that sheriff's deputy, infant child that's diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. It's $10 a plate, includes 3 tamales, rice, beans, and salsa. Do you know what time this is, Tony? It just says December 21st. Oh, Camden County Courtyard at noon. Never mind. Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.